Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WGXA's Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox. Another gorgeous day across central Georgia. Just a few fair weather cumulus clouds. That's it, folks. No rain to speak of. The radar looking but struggling to find anything. You can see the patchy cloud cover showing up on the map. It'll continue to move on through this afternoon with little to no impact on our actual weather, and they should fade away as we get closer to sunset. Temperatures very warm, 78 in Macon. We made it up into the 80s this afternoon. Still 83 in Warner Robins, 82 Milledgeville and Dublin, 84 Eastman, 83 in Butler. Here's our hour-by-hour forecast. We'll be in the 70s through 8 o'clock, starting to show the 60s by 10, and I think we're headed into the 50s for overnight lows. We'll talk about our next potential chance of rain, and believe it or not, that potential comes from a possible tropical storm off the Georgia coast. That's right, we're talking tropics in 10 minutes, but the news starts right now.
Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
Coming up on WGXA News at 5, investigators announce a cash reward for information leading to a possible serial rapist.
Plus, taking care of potholes and dangerous bridges across Georgia. What happened today to smooth your ride out? Good evening, and thanks for watching WGXA News at 5. I'm Amir Jacobson.
And I'm Raymond Tubb. Well, we begin with a new push in the search for a rapist in Peach County. Fort Valley Police and the Peach County Sheriff's Office are teaming up with Macon Crime Stoppers to set up a special reward to catch that suspected serial rapist.
WGXA's Noel Saunders is live in the studio with an update on how the break-ins and rapes may be connected. Noel.
Officers say it could be only a matter of time before the rapist strikes again, and that's not sitting well with students at Fort Valley State University and other members of the community. Peach County and Fort Valley law enforcement agencies are still looking for a rapist they believe is still lurking in the community. The agencies, along with the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers, are offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest.
You may have some pieces of that puzzle that you don't think are really significant, but they are. Saw a car in the neighborhood, saw somebody that's not normally there, so any of those bits of information will be very important.
Investigators think 2 rapes, 2 attempted rapes, and at least 12 break-ins in April may be linked to the same person.
We're thinking that because there are some similarities, so that's why we formed the task force to coordinate all of our efforts towards this, because he's not just committing them just in the city limits. There are a couple out in the county.
Christine Jones says she has 2 daughters and is taking extra precaution.
I'm afraid for my children's lives too. You just keep your door locked.
With the most recent rape of a Fort Valley State student, some students say there is not enough being done to protect them.
My classes are pretty late in the evening, 5:30 to 8:30, and many times I have to park outside of the campus gate. With that being said, when I'm outside of the gate, I do not feel protected here at Fort Valley.
Where's the local law enforcement? We know when we go on campus, we're going to have somewhat safety. But when we leave campus, where is the safety?
Law enforcement has a description of the suspect based on the cases, but say there is not enough information to name a suspect.
We're being led to believe it's a young black male between the ages of early 20s to mid-20s, 5'6" to 5'8" inches tall, slender build. And in the incidents, he's wearing all black with something covering his face.
Fort Valley State University Police has increased patrols. Investigators say if you know anything about the attacks, contact law enforcement right away. The number for Crime Stoppers is on your screen. Dial 1-877-68-CRIME. Live in the studio, Noel Saunders, WGXA.
Well, new charges tonight against a man suspected of crashing into a car and then a church and then leaving 3 children behind. Bibb Sheriff's deputies say 25-year-old Dontavius King slammed his Ford Expedition into a car and then kept going into the side of Memorial Baptist Church on Saturday. Deputies say after that crash, King took off, leaving a 1-year-old girl and a 3- and 5-year-old boy in the SUV. Deputies caught up with King Sunday at a hospital. In addition to child cruelty charges and probation violations, investigators charged King with hit and run, reckless driving, DUI, and several other charges. 2 of the children are out of the hospital. The 3-year-old boy is in stable condition.
3 South Macon businesses are cleaning up after burglaries. Bibb County deputies say someone broke windows at Cynthia's Hair and Nails, Tropical Flavor Restaurant, both on Houston Road, and Finesse Nails on Hartley Bridge Road. A burglar did go inside the businesses, but didn't take anything.
It's hurt. You know, it's so hurtful because, you know, you work very hard for your business, you know, and to see somebody who has no value, of somebody else's hard work, just come in and just vandalize your place like that, So, it really breaks.
Deputies have not named any suspects in the break-in. Some businesses have already made repairs.
Well, it has been 1 year since a quiet community in Putnam County was rocked by the murders of 88-year-old Russell Dermond and his 87-year-old wife, Shirley. The couple was killed in May of 2014 in the Great Waters community, which is part of the Reynolds Plantation development on Lake Oconee. Authorities say that they are no closer to finding the killers than they were 1 year ago. Tonight, in a special report on WGXA News at 10, Dave Johnson speaks with Putnam County Sheriff Howard Sills about the crime that shook Middle Georgia.
Governor Nathan Deal signed a new $900 million transportation bill into law today, including changes to the state's gas taxes and new fees on electric cars and hotel visits. The law will go into effect on July 1st. State transportation officials say the new money will go towards a backlog of road and bridge maintenance. The package sets gas taxes at 26 cents per gallon. It also creates a $200 fee on electric cars and a $5 per night fee at hotels and motels, while eliminating tax breaks for electric vehicle owners and jet fuel purchases by Delta Airlines. Governor Deal says the state hasn't increased taxes on fuel since 1971. Some conservative lawmakers who oppose the bill say it's a massive tax increase. Coming up later on WGXA News at 5, a Georgia sheriff shoots a realtor in a model home, while some witnesses say this was not an accident.
Plus, why a police officer is being called a hero after shooting 2 gunmen outside of a contest for Prophet Muhammad cartoons.
Another nice day coming our way tomorrow, but all eyes are on the southeast coast. Hurricane season doesn't begin until June 1st. Mother Nature may have different plans. I'll have the details on that in your 7-day after this break. Another quiet day in central Georgia, very similar to the weekend. We've had some absolutely wonderful weather with a big area of high pressure off the Carolina coast. High pressure rotating clockwise, so we're getting that nice southerly flow starting to warm things up. We were back in the 80s this afternoon. It's pretty close to average for this time of year. All the severe weather and active weather is staying out west because this high pressure is a big block. It's a roadblock. Nothing can get east close to it. So we're pretty quiet right now, but all eyes are going to be on the Caribbean the next couple of days. We've got a very wide area of disturbed weather down towards Cuba into the Bahamas, and all the models are indicating that this could be an early season tropical storm. Hurricane season doesn't officially begin to June 1st, but those are just climatological dates. We've had storms before that developed before June 1st, and it looks like we may try to do that again this year. More on that in just a moment. Let's bring it back stateside here in Georgia, and things are pretty quiet other than these fair weather cumulus clouds, and they should all fizzle out once we get past sunset this evening. So our first look ahead. In the morning at 7, we're mostly sunny. Tomorrow looks like a really nice day with just a few fair weather afternoon cumulus clouds. As we go into Wednesday, that's when we'll start to watch the Georgia coast for that potential tropical development. But for central Georgia, even Wednesday looks pretty nice at this point. As we go into Thursday, that's when rain starts moving up the east coast, and you can see the effects of this potential tropical system bringing this widespread rain into South Carolina. That's the latest model run. In fact, let's switch the camera view a little bit, and we'll show you from start to finish. So again, tonight at midnight, widespread disturbed weather, but nothing organized. But as we go through Tuesday and into Wednesday, we start to notice a little spin in the atmosphere. And through the day, Wednesday into Thursday, our forecast model is showing a landfalling storm in and around Charleston. Our forecast model runs every 3 hours. I can tell you the last run had the landfalling storm in Savannah and bringing us the rain. So there's still a lot to be determined on this, but if it goes west or east, that changes our ultimate forecast, and this would again be a Wednesday and Thursday impact at this point. Here's the water temperatures, and you can easily pick out the Gulf Stream, which is right around 80 degrees right now. So the water is warm enough to support development. So it's something we're really going to keep an eye on. Now, again, hurricane season is officially June to November. Most of the storms form in August and September, even a small percentage in June or July. But if you look at the tracks of each storm since 1950, we've actually had 18 named storms before June 1st. That averages out to one about every 3 to 4 years. The last time it happened, 2012. So we're on track to have an early season storm, and it looks like it may very well happen. So we're going to watch that closely. At the very least, even if it doesn't landfall in Georgia, rough surf and rip currents would be a concern later this week in the beaches. We'll watch it closely for you. Quick check of temperatures, low 80s, upper 70s at this hour. Overall, a really nice afternoon and evening. 82 Milledgeville and Dublin, 83 right now in Butler. If you like today, you'll like tomorrow. Here's your 7-day forecast. 83 and sunshine, 84 on Wednesday. I went ahead and threw in that small rain chance Thursday, and that's all track dependent on that possible tropical storm. It looks like our ultimate storm chance starts to go up for Mother's Day, but at this point, no washout on the 7-day forecast. We'll have your allergy forecast and Mosquito Joe Skeeter meter coming up in the second half hour. Fish and game forecast for you. We're looking at 340 tomorrow morning and 340 tomorrow afternoon. Those peaks are in the good range. Folks, we're excited about this week. On Wednesday, we'll be making our first trip down to Dublin for our campaign to program weather radios. Lawrence County, we're headed your way to the Kroger on Hillcrest Parkway. We'll be there this Wednesday starting at 4:30. If you need a weather radio, bring it to us, or if you need one, we'll have them available for purchase. And then if you already have one, bring that to us and we'll make sure it's working like it should. Again, that's Kroger on Hillcrest Parkway in Dublin. That's this Wednesday starting at 4:30. Really excited about making the trip down I-16. And
folks in Soperton and McRae and Helena and
Eastman, all that area. So looking forward to that. And we'll have to keep an eye on the Georgia coast again. Even if we don't get a landfalling storm here, that rough surf and rip current will keep you out of the beaches Wednesday and Thursday.
It looks like somebody's going to get some rain out of that.
We'll watch it.
Well, no more curfew, and the National Guard is heading out of Baltimore.
Find out how long it could take before the city gets back to normal after the death of Freddie Gray in police custody.
The investigation continues after two men opened fire outside of a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest in Texas.
The shooters were killed by police. Ryan Nobles has more about their backgrounds.
Okay, sorry, we gotta stop this right now.
Police say two men pulled up in a car and opened fire on a building where the group, the American Freedom Defense Initiative, was holding a contest for cartoons depicting the Muslim prophet Muhammad. The event had heavy security. A traffic officer in the detail killed the gunman.
We think their strategy was to get to the event center, into the event center, and they were not able to get past that outer perimeter that we had set up.
One of the shooters has been identified as Elton Simpson. It's believed that he sent this tweet before the attack that said, quote, "May Allah accept us as Mujahideen." He had previously been convicted of a terrorism charge and was serving 3 years probation. Cartoons depicting Muhammad are highly offensive to the Islamic community. Some critics claim the contest was designed to purposely taunt Muslims. The group's leader, Pamela Geller, argues that they were just exercising their First Amendment right.
It's illustrative of the violent assault on the freedom of speech.
The American Freedom Defense Initiative is considered anti-Muslim by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
But there's also the right of others, like myself and the Southern Poverty Law Center, to use our free speech rights to depict what she's doing as accurate, which is anti-Muslim.
Now, investigators will attempt to determine if this was an isolated attack or one connected to a broader terrorism front operating in the United States. In Washington, I'm Ryan Nobles reporting.
Tonight, a New York City police officer is dead after being shot in the head over the weekend. Investigators say the officers saw Demetrius Blackwell adjust something in his waistband. When police stopped him, they say Blackwell opened fire on them. Police say Blackwell ran off after the shooting but was arrested shortly after. With Officer Brian Moore's death, prosecutors will likely upgrade the charges against Blackwell.
National Guard members are leaving Baltimore. Nearly 4,000 troops were called up after last week's violent protests. A Maryland National Guard official says that 1,500 of the activated troops have now left. The drawdown of troops is expected to be completed over the next 5 days. A police spokesman says officers have made 486 arrests at protests, rallies, and other gatherings since the April 23rd death of Freddie Gray. Gray died last month after suffering a spinal injury while in police custody. Last week, prosecutors charged 6 officers in connection with his death.
An Atlanta area sheriff could be facing some legal problems of his own. Authorities say the Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill shot a woman inside of a model home on Sunday. The shooting was described as accidental, but the sheriff is not cooperating with investigators. Dante Rizzulli reports.
Unanswered questions are swirling around Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill's accidental shooting of a woman while she was in the middle of trying to sell a house. One man who lives in the new development says he remembers when she showed him a house not too long ago.
From what I heard, I think she's dating Victor Hill. She just came with a relationship with her husband, and she's actually dating Victor Hill.
There is some type of relationship. I just don't know if it's a boyfriend-girlfriend, if they're just strictly associates or maybe business partners. I don't know.
Gwinnett County Police tried to get information out of Hill, but they say he's not talking.
He's refusing to give any statements. His attorney was on scene with him. So at this point, it'll be cooperation between our Criminal Investigation Division and the District Attorney's Office, if charges are ever filed.
We were there as Hill was given permission to leave the scene without being taken into custody. He was riding in the back of this black SUV along with his attorney and driven by people who came to get him. Tonight, he's a free man, even though Gwinnett County Police described him as being uncooperative.
When you're dealing with an active sheriff in the state of Georgia, there are certain laws and certain things that have to be done. It's not just like an average citizen where we can take them to jail for, let's say, reckless conduct, depending on the circumstances. He's not getting special treatment. It's just we're going to do a complete and thorough investigation.
Comedian Bill Cosby stopped in Cobb County for the last scheduled show of his current Far From Finished tour. Outside the venue, protesters gathered, holding signs and shouting. They were joined by attorney Gloria Allred and some of the women who have publicly accused Cosby of rape. Lily Bernard was among the accusers who attended. She once had a small role on The Cosby Show. She spoke about why she decided to come forward now. Meanwhile, a woman who attended the show explained why she is supporting Cosby.
If I were to remain silent to the public, I would be enabling Bill Cosby's criminal lifestyle.
He's a good comedian and I like him.
Do you think he's innocent?
I do.
At least 25 women have come forward to CNN with allegations that Cosby sexually assaulted them. Cosby has not been charged with any crime and denied any wrongdoing. Most of the allegations have passed statutes of limitation, preventing criminal legal action.
Well, two new candidates announced plans to run for president. Next at 5, find out which Republicans say that they are going to start campaigning now.
Plus, if you have a sleepwalker in your house, why your genes may be to blame.
Two more Republicans are running for president. Former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina posted on Twitter that she's launching her campaign and website, carlyforpresident.com. Fiorina has never held public office. She ran for the Senate in California in 2010, losing to incumbent Barbara Boxer. Fiorina plans to travel to Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina this week. Also making a run for it, Ben Carson says that he will be a candidate for the presidency. Carson, who is a conservative and a retired physician, made his announcement with Jeff Barnd of Sinclair Broadcasting. Carson making his official announcement at the Detroit Music Hall Center for the Performing Arts. Immediately afterward, he is headed back to Dallas, Texas to see his mother, who is seriously ill. He has canceled a previously scheduled trip to Iowa so that he can be with his mother. Well, what do you think? Can Dr. Ben Carson win the Republican nomination to run for president in 2016? Log on to our website, WGXA.tv, or go to our Facebook page. Let us know what you think and tune in tonight at 10. We'll have the results.
Did you know gum disease is a common side effect of diabetes? Symptoms like bleeding gums are an indication that you should see your dentist right away. Ultimately, tooth loss can occur. In today's Health Minute, Jim Morelli reports on ways to keep your teeth healthy while living with diabetes.
Those living with diabetes are 3 times more likely to get gum disease than healthy people.
Diabetes changes the way how the body reacts to bacteria. We all have bacteria in our mouths, and it's a matter of keeping it in a balance.
Dr. Robert Yurko is a periodontist at the Tufts University School of Dental Medicine in Boston. He says diabetes essentially overtaxes and thus weakens the immune system. In the mouth, that can lead to gingivitis. In a worst-case scenario, Yurko says, gum disease can lead to loss of teeth.
The number one thing that they have to do is to control their blood glucose.
Yurko says high blood sugar levels carried to the mouth result in inflammation of the gums.
In this area here is bleeding now.
Regular professional cleanings are definitely important, but what those with diabetes do every day can have a major impact. Plaque is a bacterial film that must be mechanically removed by brushing and flossing. Yurko says technique is more important than frequency.
Put the brush on an angle.
So brush gently after meals or at least twice a day using a soft toothbrush. And don't forget to massage the gums with that brush using gentle circular motions. In Boston, Jim Morelli for CNN.
A new study reports the growing belief that behaviors like sleepwalking and sleep terrors run in families. Canadian researchers say children of parents with a history of sleepwalking are between 3 and 7 times more likely to sleepwalk than other children. The likelihood rises if both parents are or were sleepwalkers. The work also draws a link between sleep terrors and sleepwalking, suggesting as many as 1/3 of children who had night terrors when they were very young will have sleepwalking incidences later. Millennials have become among the most money-conscious of generations. But as they become parents, juggling financial priorities becomes more challenging. For young families also trying to save for college and retirement, it can lead to some very tough choices. Karen Kaifa visits with one family in today's Consumer Watch.
Tracy and Matt Merrill are building a family in suburban Washington. With 2.5-year-old Jake, they planned for an addition. What they didn't plan for was an addition times 2.
I was just knocking my head against the doctor's office like, oh no. It's the worst thing to feel because it's like it's like awesome having kids, 2 kids, but it's also horrible to think the first thing I can think about is money.
Millennials like the Merrills have become among the most money-conscious Americans. They've learned the lessons of the Great Recession. They're mindful of saving for college and retirement, but face different financial challenges than their parents.
Now with the twins, I mean, I think it was just like, I mean, as it relates to daycare, that's terrifying because we know how much it costs now. And I know that we both want to continue to work.
The USDA has tracked basic expenditures on children like housing, food, transportation, and clothing for more than 50 years. They say the total has increased every single year, now topping $245,000 from birth to age 18, not including college. Economist Mark Lino says one cost has pushed the total significantly.
One of the big increases on the cost of raising a child is in terms of child care and non-college education. When we first did the study in 1960, child care accounted for about 2% of the overall cost of raising a child. Now it's 18%.
That's because the number of families with both spouses in the workforce has also increased. But Tracy or Matt staying at home would carry a price tag too.
When parents have a child, usually one parent reduces time in the labor force or drops out of the labor force for a period of years. That has a substantial cost attached to it.
So as they prepare for child care times 3, they're looking closely at their budget for other areas to cut costs. And the ability for Jake to share toys and hand-me-down clothing with his brothers will actually reduce that average cost per child. Well, at least until college.
You just get through it, and I think we'll get through it. It's just, it'll be a fun ride, I guess, if we make it.
Yeah. A new generation adapting to age-old worries in their own way. For Consumer Watch, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Next on WGXA News at 5, why a Christian flag will soon be taken down from Cochrane government buildings.
Coming off a beautiful weekend, we had more great weather today, but that could change later this week. It's all dependent on the chance of a tropical storm developing. Hurricane season, as a reminder, begins June 1st, but Mother Nature may have different plans. Let's talk about it. Today, nothing tropical about our forecast. High pressure in control just off the East Coast, and that's really a roadblock from anything moving in from the west. And so we've had some really nice weather here recently, and I think that will continue again tomorrow. There is severe weather out west, but again, all of that stays out west until this high pressure relaxes. There are some signs that that may happen over the next few days, and it all has to do with what's going on down south in the Caribbean. Here's Cuba and the Bahamas. And yes, folks, just an area of disturbed weather right now, but all the forecast models are in agreement that we may have some tropical mischief over the next few days, and it will try to run up the East Coast, certainly impacting the East Coast beaches, including our Georgia shoreline as well. We'll show you that in just a moment. Let's show you what's going on right now in Georgia, and not much of anything. Just fair weather cloudiness, beautiful evening ahead. If you've got outdoor plans, you're good to go. Here's our first look ahead. We'll start you out in the morning at 7, mostly sunny for tomorrow, no complaints. May have a couple of extra clouds in our southeastern counties with an onshore flow, but no rain-producing clouds, so we are dry tomorrow. Even into Wednesday, I think we're dry, but that's when we start watching the coastline for this possible tropical development. At this point, our forecast model is showing that widespread rain going into the Carolinas, but I'll tell you, it's changing run to run because it's still a couple of days away, and so that's something we're going to watch very closely. Let's give you a closer view of this tropical development. Watch what happens over the next 24 to 36 hours. Showers and storms start gathering energy, and by Wednesday morning, we can start to see some spin in the atmosphere, and notice by Wednesday evening into Thursday, the latest run of our forecast model has a landfall in the Charleston area. Now, our forecast model runs every 3 hours, so my job as a meteorologist is to watch the consistency between those runs. But I'll tell you, the last run before this one had a landfall in Savannah. So a shift in this storm's track, west or east, has big implications. Further west brings us more rain and wind. Further east takes it away. Again, this would be Wednesday night into Thursday. So a lot to still iron out. But the models are in pretty good agreement that something is going to develop, and at the very least, that would make for some rough surf and rip currents. The water temperatures are warm enough. Look at the Gulf Stream. You can pick it out very nicely there. The water temperatures in that light beige color are right around 80 degrees, and that's the fuel you need to get those storms to brew. At this point, it's not even hurricane season yet. That begins June 1st. But folks, since 1950, we've actually had 18 storms form before June 1st. If you do the math, that's one every 3 to 4 years. We've not had one in this time of year since 2012, so we're right on schedule. Doesn't surprise me at all, and notice most of the lines are right here in the southeastern part of the United States. So this has certainly happened before, and it looks like it may happen again, so we're going to watch this very closely. In the meantime, temperatures are awesome this afternoon, upper 70s and low 80s across the entire area. We'll stay in the 70s through at least 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, so get out there and enjoy it if you can. Here's your 7-day forecast. We're back in the 80s tomorrow and into Wednesday. I've added that slight rain chance on Thursday, especially for areas east of Macon. That's just taking into account this possible tropical system along the coast. Our better scattered storm chance comes in for the weekend, just in time for Mother's Day. The allergy forecast, oak, hickory, and mulberry right around the medium to high range. And on our Mosquito Joe skeeter meter, we're still mosquito free. Fish and game forecast, 340 tomorrow morning and 340 tomorrow afternoon. Those peaks are in the good range. So overall, we're excited about the lack of severe weather, but now is the time to get prepared, folks, because we have the chance of storms towards the weekend. So down I-16 in Lawrence County, we're visiting you Wednesday. We'll be at the Kroger in Dublin on Hillcrest Parkway starting at 4:30 Wednesday afternoon. We'll be programming weather radios. If you need one, they're available for purchase. If you already have one, bring it to us. We'll make sure it's working like it should. Our first visit to Dublin for our Midland Weather Radio partnership at the Kroger on Hillcrest Parkway Wednesday starting at 4:30. So looking forward to that visit. And we'll keep an eye on that possible tropical mischief. Whether a storm landfalls on the Georgia or East Coast at all, it's still rough surf and rip current can be expected by Wednesday and Thursday. Could ruin some beach trips.
Have to keep an eye on it for sure. Well, some familiar Central Georgia faces raised more than $200,000 for Alzheimer's research. See whose smooth moves took home the Mirror Ball Trophy next.
And later, a new store is open to help people in need. Why the owners say this shopping experience will be like none you've had before.
By 2025, the number of people aged 65 and older with Alzheimer's disease is estimated to top 7 million. That's a 40% increase.
Right now, there is no cure, but doctors say you can help prevent the disease. WGXA's Jeff Cox joins us with the latest research on this mind-robbing disease. Jeff.
Amir, this is a disease that is very personal for me. In the last 5 months, both of my grandmothers have lost their battle with Alzheimer's. We wanted to look at the latest research and figures surrounding this disease that impacts thousands of Central Georgians.
In the last 3 decades, the average dance of an Alzheimer patient from the gate when they're first described as having it or identified as having it until they die is much longer.
30 years ago, we knew very little about Alzheimer's. Since then, scientists have made important advances. According to the Alzheimer's Association, it's the only cause of death in the top 10 in America that cannot be prevented, cured, or slowed. Someone in the United States develops the disease every 67 seconds. Alzheimer's is now the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. Women in their 60s are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease than they are to get breast cancer. Alzheimer's affects women more than men. Almost 2 out of 3 Alzheimer's patients are women. Dr. Lee Heyer with the Georgia Neurosurgical Institute in Macon works daily with Alzheimer's patients. He acknowledges the research is helping, but also says we are still years away from any potential cure.
We have not had any curative elements that make a tremendous difference. Combinations of medications make a little bit of difference, but the effect size is very small, and it makes a difference only between 12 and 18 months.
Researchers are focusing on treatments for other diseases like diabetes, Parkinson's, and cancer. Drugs used for those conditions are showing promising results in treating dementia and Alzheimer's. Dr. Heyer is quick to point out that some of your destiny is also in your hands.
If you are someone who has high blood pressure or has diabetes, has cerebral vascular risk factors, cardiac stuff, and is not exercising and is not eating well and is stressed, well, guess what? When you get to age 70, guess what happens? 50% of Alzheimer's disease is probably preventable.
You can help the research process through clinical trials.
There are 14, count them, clinical trials on Alzheimer's disease in the state of Georgia.
To get involved, sometimes all it takes is a phone call.
You call into a center and you say, I'm Mr. Smith and I'm 78 years old and my doctor says that I have memory problems. My brother had Alzheimer's disease and I'm stressed. What can I do? And they say, well, we have 2 trials going in Georgia. You can go to Emory and here's the contact information.
Between clinical trials and ongoing research, advances are being made in treating and potentially curing Alzheimer's. Heyer is cautiously optimistic.
There's nothing out there right now that looks like it's going to be a vaccine or that's going to take away the plaques and tangles. But it does look like in the next 12 to 15 years we'll have something.
Until then, you can play a big role in your outcome.
If you take care of yourself, you're not going to have this disease, period, or if you do, it's going to be expressed at a more benign and later time.
If you or a loved one is suffering from Alzheimer's or you're caring for someone with dementia, the Alzheimer's Association is available to help. You can visit our website at WGXA.tv for information on their services and how to get in contact with them. Amir?
And speaking of the Alzheimer's Association, some Middle Georgia stars put on their dancing shoes and took to the stage to raise money for the organization over the weekend. 10 local celebrity dancers, including our very own Rick Devins, teamed up with professional dancers and put on the annual Dancing Stars of Central Georgia. They competed to be the best dancer and raised money for the Central Georgia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Hundreds packed the auditorium to watch them strut their stuff. In the end, $219,000 was raised, and that will all stay in Central Georgia. Our own Jeff Cox co-hosted the event for the 4th year in a row. I danced in the opening act along with other star alumni for a great night benefiting an even greater cause.
Well, today is International Firefighters Day. It's a day to honor all firefighters for their willingness to keep you safe. In Warner Robins, the First Response Services prepared lunches to honor firefighters of Houston County.
We appreciate local businesses recognizing all the firefighters and doing something like this. They don't have to, but for them to recognize what we do for the community, you know, it just makes the guys feel special.
And, you know, they just go way beyond their call of duty every day to keep us safe. You know, we like to reach out to them and provide them this meal a couple times a year.
National Firefighters Day started back in 1999 when 5 Australian firefighters died while battling a wildfire.
A new thrift store opening this week to benefit Central Georgians in need. DePaul USA will open where? And grand opening on Wednesday. The thrift shop on 1st Street will benefit Daybreak. That's DePaul USA's resource center for homeless men and women here in Macon. Where will offer shoppers thrift store prices for clothes and accessories that you would find in a boutique, all to help knock down the statistic of homeless in Central Georgia.
And you'll see here at Where we have these doors in the background that spell out the letters of our store, and that's the idea, is that what we are doing is helping provide people with a place and hopefully toward a home.
The store is 2 levels where we'll accept donations for adults and children's clothes, shoes, and accessories. When we come back, Jeff will join us with a look at your forecast.
And giddy up, we're going to take you to the Arabian Horse Show in Central Georgia.
Riders and their horses are galloping through the Georgia National Fairgrounds in Perry for the Region 12 Arabian and Half Arabian Championship Horse Show. It's known as one of the toughest regions across the country. More than 700 Arabian horses will be competing in the Reeves Arena and Sutherland Livestock and Equine Arena.
The Arabian horse, which is the most intelligent, the most beautiful, and the most versatile breed of all the horse breeds. They really can interact so much more with us. They're more personable. They love their owners.
The competition is prancing on through the week with classes beginning at 8 a.m. Admission for spectators is free.
Coming off the big Kentucky Derby weekend. So we'll have to see if the Triple Crown gets taken advantage of this week. They've got their winner for the first one now, so we got 2 more races to see. It could get real interesting this week, guys. This little tropical
system. A little early for that.
It is. We've had 18 named storms before June 1st since 1950. That averages out about every 3 to 4 years. It hasn't happened since 2012, so we're on track based on climate. So we'll see what happens. I've added a little bit of influence as a result on the 7-day, depending on the track. That rain chance on Thursday would be if it tries to spin in some showers to our eastern counties. At this point, there's not a single day that's a washout on the 7-day. But as we get closer to the weekend, we get more into that summertime-like trend where we could have some pop-up storms in the afternoon. Turning hotter as well, low 90s next week by Monday. So we'll watch that. And, of course, this possible tropical mischief, the update at 10.
A lot of interest in that Mother's Day forecast.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's all we have for now. Stay tuned for Modern Family.
And we'll see you back here for WGXA News at 10.
See you tonight. Have a